royal family is far from perfect, and from time to time they own up to their mistakes. From car crashes to deeply controversial costumes, these are the errors that can humble even monarchs. Prince Harry's fallout with his family affiliated the British monarchy in a major racist scandal, and Harry's wife Meghan Markle was right at the centre of it, as the senior royals were left to defend themselves against some very damning accusations. Harry partook in the conversation without washing accountability off his own hands. The prince admitted to his own, quote, bigoted inclinations that only changed when Meghan, who is biracial, came into his life. Spare, the royals' tell-all memoir, also includes a recap of multiple controversial moments from his youth. Prominently, the one where he was accused of racism for referring to an Asian cadet in the military with an offensive slur. In Spare, Harry elaborated that he had often heard the term he used from other people when he was younger, writing, "I never suspected them of being racist, neither did I know anything about unconscious bias." While he claimed to have been advised against issuing a public apology, Harry did reach out to his military peer to apologise personally. Meeting Meghan in 2016 stirred Harry awake to the issue of rampant racism in his life, and he told people he's been trying to educate himself out of old biases. In recognition of his development, Harry, together with Meghan, was given a Racial Justice and Mental Health Award by an American charity in 2022. Sarah Ferguson made some bold moves during and after her time in the British royal family. Among the many controversies she found herself at the centre of, one of the most sensational was the bribery scandal of 2010. Fergie, as she is popularly nicknamed, was reportedly ready to put her ex-husband Prince Andrew's private information on the line for a sum of £500,000. The damning incident was made public through a sting operation initiated by the News of the World tabloid, with journalist Mazir Mahmood exposing the Duchess of York. Fergie reportedly asked Mahmood to send over the money, telling him she could get him any information he wanted. When publicised, the video sparked an outrage, and Fergie rushed to apologise. She alluded to her personal financial strains and called the bribe a mistake. She went on to attribute her actions to alcohol use. Fergie, who has been divorced from Queen Elizabeth II's son since 1996, further said that she couldn't have asked him for financial help. This particular detail is fairly surprising, considering how she's publicly praised the prince for decades following their separation.
He's one of the greatest men I've ever met in my life, and my best friend, and great father to my children.
As Britain's longest-reigning royal leader, the late Queen Elizabeth II bore witness to decades upon decades of historic events, and few made her as regretful as a tragic incident from 1966. That year, in the coal mining district of Aberfan in Wales, a mining accident caused a fatal landslide that claimed the lives of 144 people. Children formed a majority of the casualties. Reportedly advised to delay her arrival at the site of the calamity, the Queen visited Aberfan 8 days after the disaster. Elizabeth herself wasn't satisfied with her response to the Aberfan disaster and, in a rare show of regret for her actions as monarch, deemed it a huge error on her part. According to the documentary The Queen, in her own words, Elizabeth wished she'd gone to Aberfan sooner after the accident. The calamity clearly left a profound effect on Her Majesty, who was moved to tears when she visited the village. Over the course of subsequent years, Elizabeth returned to Aberfan multiple times and referred to the place with fondness. Jeffrey Epstein's sexual abuse scandal was no small affair. It was blown open even wider when it was revealed King Charles III's brother, Prince Andrew, was involved with the scandal. The British royals' friendship with the disgraced financier stretched over several years after their first reported meeting in 1999. In 2001, allegations of sexual assault solicited by Epstein surfaced against Andrew, who vehemently denied the claims. Buckingham Palace backed him, issuing their own royal statements of defence, though in time the Duke of York was stripped of his military titles. Andrew, who was spotted in Epstein's company even after the allegations against both men went public, said he regretted his controversial friendship. While Andrew admitted to reconnecting with Epstein upon his release from prison, the royal has maintained his innocence throughout the scandal, despite court documents indicating allegations against Andrew from 2 women.
So I knew what the things were to look for, but I never saw them.
Prince Harry's younger years were a minefield of controversies, one of the most prominent and problematic among them being the time he dressed up as a Nazi officer. The renegade royal was 20 when he attended a friend's costume party, sporting a striking red armband with a swastika emblem. The photo made an immediate splash after making it to the front page of tabloid papers, with Harry under intense scrutiny. Jewish organisations were understandably critical of the British royal's garb, with one spokesperson remarking, "It's not a joke to dress up as a Nazi, especially as we come up to the 60th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz." Decades later, Harry reflected on the scandal in the 2022 Netflix documentary Harry and Meghan, revealing that the incident prompted him to sensitize himself to the Holocaust through interactions with the Jewish community.
It was one of the biggest mistakes of my life. I felt so ashamed afterwards.
Age was no bar for Prince Philip to give up driving himself around England. That is, until an unfortunate incident led him to surrender his licence. The senior royal was 97 when he was involved in a car crash that he later admitted occurred due to a fault of his own. He was behind the wheel of his Land Rover in the vicinity of the Sandringham estate in early 2019 when his vehicle rammed into a Kia that was carrying 3 people, including a toddler. The BBC reported that the prince's car overturned, but he escaped without any injuries. Unluckily, the same couldn't be said for the Kia passengers, one of whom ended up with a broken arm in the collision. Identified as Emma Fairweather, the injured passenger reportedly criticised the royal for failing to reach out to her. According to the Mirror, the prince did eventually send Fairweather a personal note of apology accounting for the collision, claiming that the position of the sun interfered with visibility. He wrote, "I am deeply sorry about this injury. I wish you a speedy recovery from a very distressing experience." Surprisingly enough, Philip was spotted driving yet again, this time without a seatbelt, mere days after the accident that had admittedly left him, quote, "somewhat shaken." He was finally prompted to give up his licence a few weeks later. King Charles III and Princess Diana's relationship is the stuff of royal legend. Their 15-year-long union remained forever overcast by the shadow of Queen Camilla, summed up famously by Diana in her 1995 BBC interview.
Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded.
However, Charles said that he didn't mean for things to turn out the way they did. In a documentary from 1994, Charles claimed to have been faithful to Diana in their marriage up to a point, but eventually his passions won out. Neither the admission of adultery on Charles's part, nor the entire conflict's dramatisation in The Crown did little to salvage his reputation. Reflecting on what it's like to be haunted by claims of infidelity to the beloved people's princess, Charles explained, "It happens to half the country. And it happened to me. It is not something I wanted to happen." While Charles and Camilla's love story apparently culminated in just a brief affair in the early 1970s, the popular version is that their romance never really died down and accompanied Charles throughout his marriage to Diana. The senior royal insisted that it was only in 1986, 5 years into the marriage, that he picked things up with Camilla again. He proclaimed in a 1994 biography that he had begun feeling like he was trapped, and his relationship with Camilla felt akin to freedom. The digital revolution has pulled everyone famous into its fold, and the British royals are no exception. While the senior members of the monarchy enjoy a vicarious social media presence through official handles, where formal updates give fans a glimpse into their lives, younger royals like Princess Eugenie are seemingly permitted to have personal Instagram accounts. In fact, the Daily Mail notes that Eugenie is among the only royals with a personal presence on the digital medium. However, just like in real life, the online world of royals is tight-bound by certain mandates. Eugenie didn't appear to be notified about the royal restrictions on having an Instagram when she joined the photo-sharing app in 2018, and an innocuous-seeming post landed her in hot water. Eugenie revealed to Vogue that she took some heat for posting a photo of her father, Prince Andrew, dressed in his military uniform in preparation for the annual Trooping the Colour event. The problem was that he was standing in a private carpeted hallway inside Buckingham Palace that isn't widely publicised. Curiously, the post remains visible online despite the controversy and the fact that Andrew has since been stripped of his titles. The blunder was apparently not serious enough for Eugenie to be deprived of Instagram, as she continued to maintain a presence on the site years later. The royal family's many official accounts are governed by the monarchy's own guidelines for digital safety that warn against abusive, spam, or discriminatory comments. If you or anyone you know has been a victim of sexual assault, help is available. Visit the Rape, Abuse and Incest National Network website or contact RAIN's National Helpline at 1-800-656-HOPE 4673.